Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we'll be jumping back down into the charts to take another look at Bitcoin and see what's been going on most recently and what I expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, links in the description down below. Fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free to join, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check it out today? Right, let's get right into this. Right, Bitcoin paired up with USDT, one of the main trading pairs, and we are on the hourly chart, and Binance is our data source here. So, as we kind of have been talking about for a while, I was expecting this to be maybe tomorrow, but actually it happened today, which is fine. Essentially, we're looking at this move down into this final fifth wave. We've technically already hit its minimum requirement, but I think there's a little bit more to go down there, so I'm going to have a look at that in a second. But essentially, it's a big 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? And we've been just trading sideways a little bit here. I think this is a big 3, 3, 5 just at the end to kind of get that last little move down, and then I think we're going to be moving on up into some kind of ABC structure. That essentially will be a B wave on the daily chart. Okay, so that kind of gives us an idea. That's kind of what we've been talking about for weeks now, at least it feels like weeks, and essentially we are going to be hopefully enjoying that little relief bounce before we go back down any lower. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this move here, right, because we had to scope this out at 37,800 to about 38,600. Now, according to Binance, we've gone down to 38,536, and then we started to see this little bounce up here. Okay, now if we actually can start to see here that we have these 5 waves this side, we have some kind of choppy 3 wave coming up here, and I do think this is now 5 waves coming down. That basically makes this a 5 wave move and would actually complete us with an ABC structure that I have kind of marked up here. So essentially, if I were to move this up and transpose this over to that high point of our B wave, you can see that the 1-to-1 ratio would be about here. And, we don't want to avoid going down lower than 37,700 because that would actually create that as a 5 wave structure inside that 5th wave, which is also a possibility. And that does take us down to around that 36,500. But, as long as we stay inside this little yellow box here between the 37,800 and 38,600, we're okay. And, for the most part, we shouldn't really see that overextend down there. And I'll go through what I'm thinking of why. So if I bring back the stochastic RSI on this hourly chart, as you can see just here, we're oversold, right? But, this is something that on this hourly chart that can move around quite a bit without doing too much price discovery, which is kind of what we've seen going sideways over the weekend. And, I did say that I thought we would see something this week, and well, here we are already seeing this bit of a pullback a little bit earlier than maybe expected, but here we are on Bank Holiday Monday with a bit of a pullback. Now, essentially, we are probably going to move this price up a little bit, not too much. We're probably going to find resistance right on this line at about 39,650, and then we're probably going to pull back down. Now, the importance with this is our A wave just here. The technical requirement for a C wave has been met by dropping it down as low as it has done. And if we cross past that A wave there, there's a high probability that we are moving on out. If we go higher than that 4th wave high, just up top here, about 41,500, and I can get the exact price there, 41,561. If we go higher than that, then obviously that invalidates the lows, okay? So for the most part, there's a couple of things that we're looking for. We want to see a bounce upwards. We want to find some good key areas for us to kind of move out onto, and then really take it from there. But essentially, I do think there's a little bit more room to the downside, specifically if we are talking about this being some kind of 5 wave structure. I think we have that possibility of just dropping down a tiny bit more. And if we go up into the 4 hourly chart, we can see that the 4 hourly is almost oversold. The 8 hourly chart is coming down, and this is why I think there's a little bit more room to fall back down a little bit further, just because that 8 hourly chart hasn't really fully corrected where it needs to. Now, this isn't overly too much of a problem on the 8 hourly chart. You can bounce from a midway point like it has currently reached, but I prefer a neater example where it pulls all the way down. The daily chart's already down here, so we're all looking good for a B wave bounce upwards on the daily chart. Okay, so we're talking about 43,000 in and around that area approximately, and before we talk about moving back down to the 30 to $35,000 range later. Okay, as the structure would be here, that we have a 5-wave structure coming down, we should look through a 3-wave structure coming up, and then another 5-wave structure going down. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for a 5-3-5 overall on Bitcoin's chart here. Okay, so for the most part, yeah, we're in a pretty sweet spot. We've kind of been expecting this to happen. There's nothing strange or odd happening here. And the B wave bounce upwards, which I think we're getting very, very close to, will essentially be a bit of a relief for many altcoins that will also start to rally at that time. And they'll achieve some kind of technical targets that they've also got set for themselves. Okay, so that B wave is really important for the altcoins. Not so important for all of them. There are some that are not in a structure, and in fact they're just following what Bitcoin does here with some kind of larger ABC corrective move. So again, they're all looking for that kind of relief bounce up into a B wave. But there are some altcoins that are still tracking for a final 5th wave, and this B wave bounce is what's going to basically allow for that to happen. Now, I haven't been checking all of the altcoins. Some of them may have broken their structure since Bitcoin was up at this wave 4 high and where it is right now. But for the most part, I do think there are still some that are out there tracking out for their 5th wave, and as a result this B wave is going to allow to do that before they collapse down as well into this final C wave for Bitcoin, taking us significantly lower. So the worst is not over by any stretch of the imagination, but relief should be found, and we're going to be talking about maybe some short-term kind of opportunities inside this little move here as well. We've spoken about this a dozen times on some of the altcoin videos that we've been talking about as well. Essentially lots of progress to be made when it comes to some altcoins in this particular bounce. Okay, so for Bitcoin, it's kind of doing exactly what we thought. I'm not going to kind of ramble on any longer than is required here. We are talking about maybe pushing down just a little bit lower, completing out our C wave low, and then bouncing up towards 43,000 before finally dropping down maybe to the $34,000 to $35,000 range. Okay, and that's a technical area that I want to hold. That's not saying that that's where it's going to absolutely land and it can't go any lower. It's just that's the area that I really think that Bitcoin needs to hold in order to really keep some of its momentum behind it, right, and to keep some faith in the crypto space, right? So I think essentially if we can set another higher low, around that $35,000 range, then I think Bitcoin's going to be in a really strong position to continue its motion upwards. Now, obviously, on the back of this data comes all the Glassnode stuff, right? And we'll talk about this pretty much every single day down in Discord for months upon months upon months. And it's good to see that finally some news outlets are actually covering this in a little bit more detail, because we've seen, well over 2.4 million Bitcoin leave exchanges this year. The balance of Bitcoin on exchanges is at a multi-year low, hasn't been this low since November 2018. We know what happened afterwards. Another 77,000 Bitcoin left yesterday, and still the price is falling, and it makes you wonder why, doesn't it? But essentially, price discovery and price recovery is really only two factors, supply and demand. And here we have a shortage of supply. In the same way that you're seeing this with some altcoins like Cardano as well, we are seeing this with Bitcoin, and it is significant. Okay, over 10% of the supply wiped off of the exchanges, and as soon as that demand kicks in, I'm afraid that there isn't going to be enough supply for everyone, and the price is going to absolutely skyrocket as a result of it. This is a pretty simple concept. We see it all the time in everyday life. Supply and demand is absolutely king. It is not about the amount of people buying, the amount of money going in. It is more about the demand, also the volume of people going in and buying an asset, or buying fuel, or buying oil, buying whatever it is, right? The volume of people matter more than the amount of money being spent on it. Ultimately, you'll start to see significant increases. Now, what we've got with Bitcoin is such a significant squeeze on the supply. As soon as the demand comes in, which I think will come in as soon as Bitcoin hits 50k again, we are going to see some really, really huge price spikes in BTC, which will cause more FOMO, more demand, and will compound the issue. This is going to happen until, of course, the whales start to onload Bitcoin back to the exchanges and create a surplus of supply. And as soon as they do that, that's really where they'll be dumping the markets into the pockets of liquidity that are created, and we will see significant drops in Bitcoin. But until that happens, let me just roll back. This is an example of what happened in May 2021. Okay, until then, you had nothing but basically squeezing the supply, and right now you're also seeing very similar things. Okay, now you've got to bear in mind that the low point of the balance on the exchanges was not as low as it was back when we had the $65,000 high or the $69,000 high. This is the lowest point we've seen since November 2018. So for Bitcoin, the supply shortage is real, and it is a very big deal when it comes to price discovery. Okay, so just keep that in the back of our heads as we see the prices dropping down on Bitcoin. This is only because the demand isn't there. Okay, they're squeezing the supply. Whales are basically accumulating massive amounts of Bitcoin, and they're doing this quietly whilst telling you that we're in a bear market. And then, of course, as soon as there's a little bit of demand kicks in, that price is going to move massively up, and basically everyone's going to be like, oh, it's the start of a new bull run. And well, essentially you're always in a bull run. You're just being led to believe that you're in a bear market. I've been in bear markets. We accumulate in bear markets, and even during these 85% drops in price, we are still in profits because we were buying at the right time. We are not buying, or actively buying, I should say, at these kind of volatile moments at the tops of wave 5s or the tops of C waves. We buy at the bottom of C waves, we buy at the bottom of A waves, and we accumulate at the right moments. And that's what we try to educate inside our Discord server. So do join us there if that is what you are looking for in this crypto space about making more money and understanding when to buy and when to sell. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found this video useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.